fourth place start. But Jason, it's all about New Jersey Motorsports Park and who's got this place figured out.
Yeah, and you can see the run down to turn one's a bit of a long one. So when you hear Bobby say he wants to get a good start, if he can get down to turn one in the top three, it'll make his race a lot easier, Greg, as you rip through turns 3, B, and C. Hard turns on these super bikes. There'll be a lot of movement underneath them as they go through there. Next one really is turn 7, 8, 9. You saw Tony make a small mistake there in turn 9 yesterday that allowed Matthew to get through and set sail and try to catch Gagne. But then you got that run all the way to turn 12. Very, very fast here on a super bike coming onto this front straightaway. Fun lap here, short lap here.
Yeah, definitely a short lap. Now let's welcome in Roger Hayden, who gets to go on his Ducati and bring us the Ducati Fast Lap. Back at New Jersey Motorsports Park for Hono Superbike race number 2. This is how they finished yesterday with a couple little tweaks, obviously, but this is the grid. Gagne, Scholz, and Elias.
Yeah, and then Bobby Fong, Loris Baz, Josh Herron. What we didn't see yesterday is that Kyle Wyman actually got into it with Hector a little bit at the beginning, so you're going to see him up in 8th. Peterson 7th, Jake Lewis. Then we got Bradley Ward, Alexander, and Uribe. Ashton Yates, Michael Gilbert, and Heather's Hector Barber in 15th. Had some small technical issues yesterday. Wyman, but Lewis, and Lee. Barber was quickest this morning.
Quickest this morning?
Yeah. Ferris, Flinders, Heckles, Dunham, Giannato, and Jeffrey Perkin to round out the field. Oh, I'm sorry, we got Jeremy Coffey and Shakespeare at the back. But yeah, this morning Hector Barber was fastest, and so it's too bad he's coming from 15th. So his whole goal right now is just get back up in those first 6, 7, 8 spots, so he'll have a better grid spot for today's second race.
That was on board with Tony Elias. As we look at the 32, Fresh Lean Attack Performance Yamaha's Jake Gagne on the cusp of his second MotoAmerica championship, first in Hono's Superbike. 20 laps scheduled in this race. 21 laps scheduled in this race. Sorry about that. When the lights go out, we're getting racing.
Ooh, Matthew Scholz gets a good launch. Jake Gagne does as well, but Matthew had a nice little run. Let's see if it's the same as yesterday. Look at Bobby Fong from the second row. Bobby Fong rolls around the outside and gets the start that he wants. Gagne's up underneath him as they go into turn 2. Matthew Scholz is also up underneath Bobby Fong as they roll down into 3, but a better start. Just like Bobby said, he wanted to get a good start, Greg, and then try to do something towards the end of the race with these guys. But now Matthew Scholz has got the start he needed where he could be right up behind the 32 of Gagne. He's got to not let him get too far out on this first lap or two.
What's so impressive about the M4X Suzuki of Bobby Fong, and talking to Frank Aragaki, his crew chief, earlier today, was that their biggest struggle is when the bike is full of fuel and on fresh tires. The bike starts to work better as the tire life starts to beat in and wear off a little bit. So Bobby Fong with a good start, but you could see early on he was up and out of the saddle. That allowed Gagne and Scholz to get around.
Peterson has also made his way up through there into 4th, and also Tony Elias has gone a little bit backwards as Herron has made the pass on Tony Elias also. So Tony was like, what was he, 3rd or 4th coming up over the top of the hill? 4th, I believe, coming up over the top of turn 2, and he's quickly rushed back to 6th spot, but you can see that little bit of a gap. Gagne on those fresh Dunlop tires, just a little bit better as he normally is, but Scholz has done a nice job to kind of keep him in touch. Bobby Fong is really the big mover on this lap. He puts himself early into a podium position, and we know how strong he is through the middle parts of the races. As you see Herron now making a move up underneath Cam Peterson, he's going to jump himself up into 4th place.
Jake Gagne at 22.9, so a tenth of a second quicker than he was yesterday from a dead stop with Scholz Fong in tow. And then this battle starting to shape up. Everybody looking for some track position. Cameron Peterson, who's had definitely a strong year as his first year on the M4X Star Suzuki. Your last year's Stock 1000 champion, mixing it up.
Yeah, this morning Josh Herron was quickest for part of the session, so maybe he has found something overnight as he's made some quick work of a couple fast guys, and he's going to be focusing up on those 3 up in front of him now. Tony's a little bit on this first lap, got beat up. He's going to get settled back in now and try to start picking off these guys in front of him, Greg.
And Jason, for any of these riders, especially Cam Peterson and Bobby Fong, if 3rd in the championship makes a difference, especially at the end of the year. Bonus, and it looks like is that going to be Fong down? Just as I was talking about, Fong was only 15 points behind his teammate for 3rd spot. So Bobby Fong puts his M4X Star Suzuki on the ground. He's trying to get it up to see if it's rideable. So now that's going to move this battle all of a sudden shifting down to Josh Herron for 3rd. So Gagne comes across the stripe. A 120 20.0 for Gagne and a new race lap record for Jake Gagne.
And how about Matthew Skoltz goes 20.3, which was our previous lap record before. So Matthew Skoltz also matching the time that Cameron Beaubier did last year, but Gagne smashing it. As you can see here, Bobby Fong gets into turn 9, Greg. A little too much front brake pressure. He's going to lose the front. Couple little bumps in there. I've heard a couple of the riders saying you're going to be able to see it right here. He's going to go over, and you can see there's a little bit of a transition, and he just loses the front.
Yeah, that was the backside of that new asphalt that was laid down. Some riders commenting it feels like a tabletop on a road race bike.
And how about Gagne again goes purple in our screen on the second split. But I'm really impressed. Matthew Skoltz isn't letting him get too far away. You know, these riders, they know what the lap times are around this place. They know what the fast times are. Gagne is going to see a 20 flat and think, wow, that's good. And then he's going to come through here on this next lap and only see +1 possibly and think to himself, wow. So, yeah, really fast laps by both of our leaders. As I see just outside our window, Bobby Fong has got that bike started and he's brought it back into pit lane.
So Jake Gagne lowering their track record set by Cameron Beaubier last year for race lap record. As Jason mentioned, it was a 120.3. The outright circuit record was Cameron Beaubier in 2020 in Superpole at a 19.8, as Gagne was only 0.2 of a second off of that in the race with a full fuel load. Unbelievable.
Yeah, pretty impressive, Greg. And when you think about it, they've just both gone 20.5, our first and second place guys. It is less than a second. We heard yesterday Matthew Skoltz talking about how he feels like he's getting a little bit closer to Jake Gagne, and that is proven right off the bat here in our morning race. Talking to Chuck Cicchetto yesterday, a little bit that I saw him before I left the track, he said things are very harmonious right now over in the Westby crew, and everybody seems to be pretty happy as you see them going to work on Fong's bike.
Yeah, we do have another race today, so it's important, if they can, to get him back out on the motorcycle, to get all the data they can. Frank Aragaki talking to me about that and how critical it is to get every single lap, because for Bobby Fong and the M4X Star Suzuki team, Jason, even this late in the season, they don't have a good baseline setting that seems to work. As Peterson looks like he's holding a tighter line, tried to go up the inside on Herron. He won't get that done, but Herron a little wide. Is the door open for Cam Peterson to go by? Yes. So now M4X Star Suzuki's Cam Peterson, where Bobby Fong exited the final spot on the podium moments ago. Now Cam Peterson owns it for the moment.
Yeah, this is going to be a big battle all the way. And you can see Loris Baz has tucked himself right in behind this trio in front of him. They're going to do their best to try to, he's going to try to do his best to get that Ducati up front. Herron's now going to make another run on Cam Peterson as they get down into turn number 1. And look at Tony Elias. He gets in there really deep. Is he going to make the corner, Greg?
No! Tony's down!
Tony ends up crashing. You can see that happen really early. He was in there extremely deep. Just kept on trying his best to get that bike to turn. He had let off the brake lever, and you can see, Greg, he just slowly started to lose the front. So that's going to be a product of having a double bike draft coming down that front straightaway, and he's going to get into that corner just a little bit too deep and just wasn't able to get it turned.
Let's take a look at the replay, Jay, so you can see it forming early.
So right now, Greg, he's trying to release the lever and trying to continue to make the corner, but he just couldn't quite keep it on the track there. And
yeah, it looked like there was so much lean angle, Jay, and you just get over those ripple bumps right there, and he just lost it. So Tony Elias in race number 2. You can see he had a double draft off of Cam and Josh Herron coming down that straightaway. So, you know, that's going to be the thing that got Tony in there just a little bit too deep. Gagne now with just a little bit of a break, 1.1, as he continues to hammer out these mid-20 lap times, minute 20.6 last time through. Matthew Skoltz still doing a great job there, minute 20.8. And Jason, just to go back to Tony Elias for a second, he had just set the fastest Sector 4 split time of the race and had the fastest top speed we've seen at 173, where MotoAmerica measures it. And so it was a combination of an unbelievable Sector 4 split, a double draft, and the next thing you know, you find yourself in turn 1 and you're in a little too deep.
Yeah, you can see his initial grab of the brake. He had the rear wheel a foot off the ground, it looked like, and then, you know, you're underneath 2 guys, so you're trying not to make anything too bad happen with 2 guys to the outside of you there. And it looks like he's
Tony
got back up. Yeah, it looks like Tony's just up in front of Gagne here.
So, Jay, looking at Jake Gagne, and you heard what he was saying as the race, just before the race on the grid, where he was all focused just on the race result. Is this what you're seeing from this guy? I mean, in terms of body language, you know, at first you can hear racers say, oh, yeah, it's not, this is just another race. Ooh. But you know, it's in their brain. But looking at Jake Gagne, to me, it looks like he's definitely walking the walk right now.
It's almost good for Jake that he's got somebody like Matthew Skultz right now pushing him as hard as he is, because it's going to take some of his attention away from the things that he was having to not focus on, which he doesn't want to focus on the championship. He just wants to focus on race wins. You can see Matthew Skultz, his bike has actually looked pretty good to me this weekend. Like we said yesterday, they made a small gearing change, and that was about it.
Well, Hannah, Matthew Skultz nearly broke the track record. He missed it by 0.03 of a second, but he is ripping.
He's definitely got a lot more confidence heading into today. You know, we talked to Jake on the grid before the start of this race, and he told me he's not really feeling like he needs to take any risks. I asked Matt, you know, what are you willing to risk? And he said he's willing to take big risks, especially in the opening laps. As Jason mentioned, they made changes to gearing for more stability, for more speed, and a little bit of changes to the traction control in certain areas for more stability. And as you mentioned, he did do quicker laps and warm up. He feels really strong mid-race, so we'll see how these laps kind of click off here and if he's able to reel in Jake.
Or we saw Jason Uribe was the rider who was down on the Fly Racing ADR Motorsports entry. Uribe coming back from World Superbike. But yeah, and looking at Matthew Skultz, he might be taking more risks, Jason, but it looks like it's in control. Matthew has been working so hard on his riding style, especially the release of the throttle and getting to the brakes. And incredible to do a 1:23.313 lap time, trying to chase down Jake Gagne when a 20.310 was the track record. So we're seeing some fast times out of riders here in MotoAmerica. And Jake, to be honest, this is a track, New Jersey Motorsports Park, which isn't noted for getting better and better and better in terms of traction over the years. So these riders absolutely shredding right now.
Yeah, we've got great weather today, which has definitely made it easier. I shouldn't say easier, but nicer for the lap times to come. You can see this battle for third is still hot and heavy here between Herrin and Camp Peterson, who's going to have a look down the inside. He's not going to be able to make it. Josh pretty strong down there into that turn one area. You can also see still Baz trying to hold on to the back of these two guys and trying to do something maybe a little bit later in the race. Both guys there, 21.9 for Herrin, 21.8 for Cam. Loris just to tick off at 22 flat. So also Hector Barbera has made his way through to 6th place, so that'll be good for him later on for today's second race. If he continues to stay there, he will be in the front 2 rows for the start.
Looking at Cameron Peterson, Jamie Howe, it's been a while since he's been on the podium.
Yes, off of one of his finishes of the season yesterday. When we saw him finish the race in 7th for Cam Peterson yesterday, and when you mentioned that 1:21.8, that's been 3/10 of his fast lap from the race today, and that's really where he struggled yesterday. He had the overall pace, but he couldn't consistently do it. He said after 5 laps it was nearly unrideable for him. So that's what they worked on this morning, and after 8 laps, he was 1.2 seconds quicker than he was during the race yesterday. So he had a lot of positive energy going into the race today, and certainly getting ready for this afternoon also.
Yeah, now just looking at a podium. He hasn't had one, Jason, since race 1 at Laguna, Cameron Peterson. So he is hungry for it, as is Josh Herrin, who's back in action after being out a few weeks with COVID sickness and the birth of his new son. Herrin wanting to prove that he belongs here as well. There's the number 2, Fresh and Lean Attack Performance Yamaha, just leading an M4 X-Star Suzuki with Gagne out front, 3.4 seconds, and Matthew Skultz is 5 seconds ahead of the battle we're looking at right now.
Yeah, and you can see Cameron looks like he has pace, but Herrin's really good in the spots he needs to be good at, which is in all these braking areas. So coming in here into turn 5, going to be very difficult to line the number 2 guy up there, and it's also going to be difficult to do it down into turn 1 because Herrin has pace, especially when it gets to getting on the brakes. He's very late, makes it very hard to pass.
And just behind them, of course, is Loris Baz on that Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York machine. That's the Panigale V4Rs. We look at Tony Elias, left part of your screen, as he comes in. Darren Marshall, data technician, talking to Tony. And Darren, his first race back, the Canadian. This is his first race back in the U.S. all season long. Been doing a lot of data gathering and information from his home in Canada. You can see the disappointment on Tony's face because I can't wait to see that date. I wish we had time, but we have a full race scheduled today with 2 Superbike races and all our other races scheduled. But seeing that date will be interesting to see just how fast that Fresh Lean Attack Performance Yamaha is going. Josh Herrin starting to pull the pin a little bit on Cameron Peterson.
These guys are staying consistently in the high 21s.
Oof.
The other guys now are in low 21s that last time by for Gagne, 21.1. and it looks like Skoltz about 21.8, so 7/10 there, as you can see. But these guys also are in the 21s.
Jamie, what do you have on Bobby Fong?
Well, he's back out on track, Greg. You mentioned it. They needed to get that data so they can get ready for the second race today. And it was a pretty quick fix. They just had to unbend the handlebars and then fix the brake guard. There was some grass stuck in the wheel also, but it was pretty quick. He's back out so they can get some laps so they can tune that bike for this afternoon.
Okay, we'll take a look at Bobby Fong's progress.
That's
but
a hard
he missed
job
a couple
there.
laps. Yeah.
When you know that you're down, but you've got to go out and get that race data. And, he's going to have to come from a little bit further back on the grid. Today, in that first race there, things were really working out exactly like Bobby wanted. He up on those first 2 rows from yesterday's race result, gets a good start today, and unfortunately just slid off there. And but he's going to go out there, see if the changes that they made for this race really did make a difference.
So Josh Herrin in third place at the moment. Gagne's come across the line now nearly 5 seconds ahead of Skoltz. So Skoltz put up a great fight the first couple laps, but Skoltz has got 5 seconds over Josh Herrin. Cameron Peterson now 0.3 of a second back. Loris Baz. Then you have Hector Barbera in 6th place. A good run for him on the BMW. Kyle Wyman, Corey Alexander, Bradley Ward, and Ashton Yates, your top 10. A look at the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York team. And yeah, that's Araldo Faraci right there in the middle. He is in this paddock all year long. It's great to see Faraci back. But when dealing with the Ducati Panigale V4R and this particular racetrack, Dunlop Shod, it just is a stiff motorcycle, and they haven't found a solution to handle some of the sharp bumps. And, Jason, it's not a matter of actually managing the bump itself. It's an issue of when it does hit the bumps and goes over, is there traction on the other side of the bump? I talked to Scotty Jensen about it yesterday, and that's been the big struggle. Yeah,
and you can see it when you go out there and you watch it, and Loris is just trying to be as smooth as he can on the bike, obviously, but they just got to keep chipping away at it, and hopefully they'll land on something for him and continue to make him a little bit more comfortable. You can see Herrin's pulling away from those two guys just a little bit, and now Cam is coming into place there. Looks like Bradley Ward and Corey Alexander have gone down. And I'm trying to figure out where this is, and that bike doesn't look good. So I'm trying to see where this has happened, Greg.
And that is a heartbreaker for his team. They were here late last night putting a motorcycle together for Corey Alexander after he had some struggles.
Turn 6. This is going to be that fast right-hander, turn 6. You can see Bradley Ward is limping away. Obviously, last year was not a good year for Bradley here, getting hurt, but I'm happy to see him up. It's been a really, really rough weekend also for Corey Alexander, sadly.
A forgettable home race for Corey Alexander out of New York, just up the street, a couple hours where he lives and works in Austining, New York. But how about this guy, Jake Gagne? You go out there, Jason, on lap 2, you do what Gagne's been doing, just trying to break the will of the rest of the field. He does it by shattering Cameron Beaubier's track record from last year.
But just look how he sits on the bike, how he rides. It looks a lot like Cam Beaubier, doesn't it?
It does.
When you see him in that position there through turn number 10, it looked. You literally could have put him and Cam in a side-by-side picture, and they look a lot alike. And this is where I feel like Jake's done a lot better job. If you watch how that bike now is so much more stable than it was last year, and the way he's going from the throttle to the brake, looking at some of his data earlier in the year, he's not even using as much brake pressure as some of the guys that they've been able to get data from the past. A lot of his traces have started to look a lot more like Cam, and even all through here, we used to sit there last year and talk about Cam Beaubier and his riding style and how simple it looked. And now you can really say the same about Jake also. Today he was pushed extremely hard at the beginning, and now, Greg, he's got a 6.1 second lead. He's in the mid-21s. Now everybody else is in the 22s, and he's just kind of riding around. Looks so simple to me, and that was just a word that we used a lot. Can't take anything away from this guy, though, can we?
No, and, that's the whole thing. Matthew Skoltz has been faster this season, especially about midway through this season, of him getting on the podium and talking about working on that riding, but also being able to really tell the crew what he needs out of this motorcycle and the crew to take that into account. Just the fact that you have a guy in Matthew Skoltz who goes 120.313, trying to chase down Jake Gagne early on in this race and running lap record pace, that says so much about the level of talent we have here in the Hono Superbike class in MotoAmerica. With Gagne as dominant as he's been, it's been this team, Westby Racing, that has started to answer the call to try to close the gap.
And what you always talk about is how Gagne's broke lap records everywhere we've gone. I mean, I think there was only one track I think that he hasn't so far, and today we've seen that lap record go again here, and it wasn't just by a small margin. 3/10 is a lot in this world, and Matthew Schultz has continued to push his pace as well. You know, and I think that that's just going to hold true going into next year. If everything stays the same, hopefully Matthew can continue with this progression. Now, a little bit further back, Herrin is just gapping these guys ever so slightly. Not quite a full second, but now Baz looks like he's in a big hurry to try to do something and go past Cam. That is a really hard place to do that, and that was a good solid pass as they went into turn 5. That kink rake, we know there's not a lot of room there.
Hey, look, and there's been no love lost on the racetrack between Cameron Peterson and Loris Baz, as well as Matthew Schultz. You know, so Baz, I guarantee you, under his helmet, enjoyed making that pass. Nice and clean, but aggressive at the same time, and he caught Baz. Baz caught Peterson by surprise.
Yeah, because he sees Herrin getting away. And if he feels like he can get that Ducati to run the same pace as Herrin, he wants to try to get up there and get up front. He's got 7 to go. As you can see, Cam looks like maybe front tire, because I've seen him run wide in a couple spots, which generally means that you're getting into a corner, you don't feel like the bike is quite underneath you, and you feel like if you keep turning it harder and more that you're going to lose the front. But you can see he had a good run on Cam as they came up over the top of the hill. Cam sits up, Baz goes straight to the apex. Cam knows he's there, sits the bike up just a little as that Warhorse Ducati gets shoved right up underneath him and gets through to that 4th place spot. Now we'll see if he can catch up to Herrin at all. Let's get down to Jamie.
Watching as Baz made that pass under full lead, and that was really where he was struggling this morning. He sat on the wall for about 45 minutes after the morning warm-up and was just thinking. He said, you know, I have no trust in this motorcycle. He said, I have no confidence under full lead. There's just not enough grip out there. So watching him in the later stages of this race, developing that confidence and being able to ride through it, good signs for this afternoon also, Hannah.
Well, Jamie, Josh is just ahead of Loris Baz, and I talked to him. He did some work to improve setup to make up some time in the chicane specifically. He thought that it would pay off a lot. Overall, we've talked about Josh Herrin and how he's really stepped up his training this year, but he's really been trying to work more on the mental fortitude side of things. He met with a sports psychologist leading up to this round to help him get mentally fit, and I saw him on the grid talking to Josh Hayes, who's been really instrumental in helping boost Josh's confidence overall. He felt yesterday like he had the pace to be in the second battle, but today he really wanted to focus on who's there in front of him instead of who's behind him, so hopefully that'll help him as Baz is trying to make his way up to Josh.
Well, yeah, I think that, you know, having somebody like Josh Hayes in your corner obviously is a good thing, and for Herrin right now, he's going to have to keep his head down, because right now Baz is coming after him. He was a half second quicker that time through, was Loris Baz over Herrin. So 22.5 for Herrin, 22 flat for Loris Baz. So the fact that Loris can still get down to those times shows that he can be consistent, but he just can't get those early laps in those low 21s or even high 20, low 20s like this guy did. But Baz is able to go 22 flat. Just as a reference, Matthew Schultz did 22 flat that last lap back also. You can see there what 7.2 seconds look like. That's Bobby Fong just behind Matthew Schultz, as you saw on our screen there, doing some laps, trying to get that data.
Yeah, but unfortunately, he's getting the black flag is the number 50 Bobby Fong, as Race Direction has determined that because he is 6 laps down in this race, that they don't want him to continue on in the race. So Bobby Fong is getting black flag. When he comes across start-finish line, he gets that flag. So we'll see if the 50 pulls in sometime soon. But meanwhile, Jake Gagne has a 7.2-second lead over Matthew Schultz, who's got a 5-second lead over Josh Herrin, with Baz closing in on him. Cameron Peterson has lost a little bit. He's down 2. You can see the rear end of the motorcycle spinning up, probably because of what Jason was saying. When the front goes away, you're trying to rely more on the rear end of the motorcycle, and Cam Peterson's starting to drift. Willie dripped into the clutches of Hector Barbera in 6th place. There's 17 seconds there. You can see Campy at the top of your screen. So now Baz is trying to track down a podium. And this would be a big win for this home race for the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York team if they can put Loris Baz on the podium. But Josh Herrin, he's got his eyes set forward in this one. But it's going to get chippy here as there's about 4.5 laps remaining in this race.
Yeah, these two guys raced against each other yesterday on their social media. They both said how much they enjoyed it. Now they're racing for a podium. So, somebody's heart's going to get broken here, I think, eventually. But Baz has, when he was able to get past Cam Peterson, he was able to close this distance. Herrin that time responded with a 22.1, so he was almost a half second quicker than he was the lap previous. So he's just got to keep his head down, hit his marks, and do what he's been doing. And for Baz, it's the same thing. Just kind of keep chipping away. He's got 4 laps to try to get up to the back of that number 2 bike and make this pass stick. And I think, Greg, when it does happen, it will be somewhere where it won't maybe be one of our normal spots. It probably won't be down in a turn 1 or somewhere. He might do something like what he did with Cam.
Would you say that the Panigale V4R that Baz is riding looks probably the best I've seen it all weekend?
It definitely looks better. And, look, those guys they're working so hard down there to try to get this bike better. And they know the equipment that they have underneath them is very, very good. They've got a world-class rider in Loris Baz. Now it's just a matter of those two things kind of gelling a little bit. But it definitely isn't through lack of effort from anybody in that Warhorse team. They're all working hard.
No, they're definitely working hard.
This is, looking at the bike through here, the first day, it looked extremely hard to ride. And this looks a lot better for Loris, even through that little 3A, 3BC section there.
The question becomes, if he needs another couple of tenths to attack Josh Herrin, that's when we're going to see if the bike has made some improvements. Yep. All right, back to Jake Lewis, who just passed Ashton Yates for 8th place, and that is a battle in the Superbike Cup, or Stock 1000 racers, Stock 1000 spec machines. And Jamie's got more about Jake Lewis.
Well, for Jake, this is his 6th race in a row now where he's inside of the top 10, and you think he's on a Stock 1000 machine, so it's pretty impressive that what he's been able to do. His goal now is only just to get these Superbike Cup points. He wants the money that comes from it from the end of the season, and that's really all the team is focused on for the rest of today and then all of the Barber weekend as well. But they were struggling this morning with rear grip, and they made some shock adjustments to try and help him get to the end of the race just a little bit better. But think about this. He has 2 races today on a Stock 1000 bike. They don't have the same suspension. They don't have the same electronic help as the Superbikes do. So he's going to be tired. All of these Stock 1000 riders are going to be pretty worn out at the end of this weekend.
Yeah, no question. Doubt. And all the pressure's off him now. He won the championship that he was coming after. And if you remember last year, we saw Cam Peterson on this Altus GS6R 1000. And now look what Cam's doing. He's had a really good year in Superbike. Jake Lewis is a guy that we saw kind of get out of the paddock and gets back in the paddock. Last night on his Instagram, he said he was over 200 pounds, and he's got himself back in race fit, comes out and wins the championship, and he'd be another guy that you'd be able to put on a Superbike and see probably pretty immediate results.
Easily. Battle for 3rd. Josh Herrin, Loris Baz. A lap and a half to go in this race for these two.
Yeah, Josh is not going to be easy.
Say 2 laps, Jay, because Jake Gagne's come across the line on lap 18. He's got a 9-second lead, and he's 13 seconds ahead of these riders.
Yeah, so they're going to be coming to the white flag, and I just don't see anywhere right now where Loris can maybe get close enough to do anything with Herrin. And Herrin, when he sees this white flag, he's going to be really motivated to try to get up on the podium for this team, for his new son and all the other things that are going to go along with it for Herrin. He's going to be extremely hard to pass on the last lap, but I would put nothing past the number 76 of Loris Baz if he can get a sniff, and it could be something as simple as some tail enders that we see they are coming up on. And look how much Baz closed up going down into turn 1, Greg. So if you get a back marker at this track in the wrong spot, it can really hurt your lap. So Baz is close enough. He might try to do something in this turn 5 area again. Let's see how good they can both get out of here. That's Joe Giannotto just in front of them.
Yeah, you're going to see. Look at the attitude of Baz's body position. Nice move by Herrin.
Really good.
But is a little bit wide, but no dramas. Baz has to go really tight. Can he get it turned? Giannotto. And so that really didn't net much. It's still a couple of bike lengths between these two as the white flag flies. We are on the final lap as Gagne, 9.5 seconds ahead of Skoltz. He's on his way to another win. But who's going to occupy the final step on the podium? Boy, corners are running out for Baz.
Really hard for Baz to do anything down through here. Unless he can get in the draft, possibly come into the line. I just don't think he's going to be close enough. Herrin's got to do everything he can to just get through this left-hander as clean as possible. As you can see, Gagne is onto the front straightaway. In a mix of back markers, Gagne wins.
Gagne wins that race. And here comes the battle for 3rd. Onto the front straightaway they come. Baz underneath the bubble. Big drive. Takes the checkered flag. And Jake Gagne Jake Gagne able to win this one. Matthew Schultz, Josh Herron, Loris Baz, Cameron Peterson. And how about this guy? Fresh and lean attack performance Yamahas, Jake Gagne, your 2021 Hono Superbike champion with that race win. Wow, all focused just on a race, and he does it by breaking Cameron Beaubier's New Jersey Motorsports Park track record. What a statement. 9.5 seconds, the margin of victory. And the work from last night to improve the fresh and lean attack performance Yamaha nets him a track record, another win, and his first Hono Superbike championship.
Just an incredible year for Jake Gagne, and you can see basically, he just wants to keep winning races, and getting the congrats there from Herron. All you can do is give respect when you know the guy's on the exact same bike as you, the same team and everything else, and what Gagne's put together. And you can see Herron doing that right there, giving Gagne a lot of respect there. And now, Greg, he can focus on the championship that he's just finally won.
Yeah, he can definitely focus on that. Let it sink in for a couple hours before we have our next race at 3 o'clock. 15 race wins in a row. The record is 16 last year by Cameron Beaubier. And we still have 4 races to go in this season. Unbelievable. Welcome back, Jake Gagne. Getting ready to put that #1 shirt on. Heat from Alpine Stars. How about Jake Gagne, Jason? I mean,
yeah, it's unreal.
Dream season, 15 race wins in a row.
The fact that he hasn't even talked about it, almost just like you said, feels like a formality. Like we're calling this race, and he did such a good job all year long. But to win as many races as he did, and look at the distance here, 9.5 seconds today over Matthew Schultz, who rode brilliant today. Herron ends up getting that battle for third over Loris Baz, Cam Peterson there in fifth. Barbara does a nice job. Kyle Wyman and Jake Lewis as well took their battle down to the line with Ashton Yates there in ninth. So, you can't, what do you say about Jake Gagne? We saw Cameron Beaubier in years past, and we're thinking, how can any records be broke? And he's shattered a lot of them this year.
He certainly has, and he is with Hannah right now.
On behalf of the AMA FIM North America, we have the Deputy Director of Racing, Mike Burkeen, presenting Jake Gagne with the official #1 plate. Thank you so much, Mike. Big congratulations all around to Jake Gagne. Jake, you've been calm and collected all season long, and at the start of this race, you said this one is no different from any other, but it is your championship-winning victory. That's got to feel pretty good right now.
It's amazing. I mean, thank you to Yamaha, Fresh and Lean, Attack Performance, all of our sponsors. It shows. This program has been amazing this year. These Yamahas are rolling, and I just got a great crew. We're having a lot of fun racing motorcycles, and what an amazing year. And yeah, I wanted to go out hard. I gave it everything I got every lap, whether or not the championship's on the line or not. But yeah, I'm so pumped. And we got some more racing to do today, though, so can't get too excited yet. We got to get back to work 20 more laps later. And hats off to the boys for keeping me on it, man. These guys are really, it's fun racing with them and fun to have all these fans out here. And race 2, let's go.
Your 2021 Hono Superbike champion, Jake Gagne. Let's get over to Jamie with second place.
And it is 7 consecutive podiums now for Matthew Schultz. I listened as Chuck Giacchetto, the Westby Racing team manager, came. He said he's so proud of you. You've been calm this weekend. When you have that mindset with 3 races on the weekend, how does that translate to the way you're able to ride?
I think this year we've been trying to find a pretty good setting with the bike. So we made a couple of changes every practice, and sometimes we go backwards and I maybe get a little bit flustered. But this weekend we've just been moving forward every practice. So I got to give a shout out to the Westby Racing team. They've been awesome, coming away with 2 seconds to Jake is basically like us. I'm winning really. Just want to say a big up to Jake. He's won I think 15 races straight now. He's the champion, deservedly so. And if there's somebody in this paddock that I do not mind beating me, it's definitely Jake. We've been friends since the Red Bull Rookies Cup back in 2009, I think it was. We raced in the Moto2 and Spanish Championship together. So we basically grown up racing and just progressing through the ranks from 1 to 5, Moto2, 600, and now onto Superbike and racing at the top national level here. But yeah, just really looking forward to race 3 and trying to maybe pick up the mid-race pace. I kind of dropped off a lot there, trying to follow Jake in the first couple of laps. Yeah, we'll just come out swinging in the third race and hopefully try to do something there.
A little bit of respectful competition. Second place finisher Matthew Skoltz. Hannah?
Rounding out our Yamaha podium sweep today for Attack Performance Yamaha is Josh Herron. Josh Baz was really closing that gap, making his way up to you. What was it that made the difference for you today over yesterday's race?
To be honest, my coach and old teammate told me, hey, let's get rid of the plus on your board. Just focus on what's in front of you, and it was a huge difference. You know, this Jake's on a whole nother level, and Matthew's finally figured out what it takes, and he's going to be there, I think, in the third race. So we need to step up huge for the third one if we want to be up even close to Matthew. But I just want to give a huge shout-out to my whole team. The Fresh and Lean Attack Yamaha team has been working hard all year for me. It's been a year that we didn't expect. We thought we'd get some better results, but it's been a struggle. But we're going to continue working hard, and I just really appreciate those guys putting in all the effort for me. Gotta say thanks to Rachel and Baby Griffin back home. I know they're watching, and it's awesome knowing that he was able to make it for these last 2 rounds and be able to watch. So it's a huge motivation, and I just got a whole new feeling for racing whenever he was born. It was something else that mattered more in life, and this was able to become something that was a lot more fun. And this weekend I'm just trying to have a whole different approach on things and just have fun and get back to what I used to be like. And yeah, just thanks to the entire crowd. Thanks to all the sponsors. Fresh and Lean stepped up huge this year and helped us out. I really appreciate it. And congratulations to Jake. He's on a whole nother level that we haven't seen since the Mladen era. And it's really impressive to sit behind him and watch him whenever I get that chance to sit there. And so, yeah, thank you to everybody and look forward to the third race.
Congrats, Josh. And Greg and Jason, these guys are getting ready to do this all again later today.
Yeah, they certainly will. And just, wow, Jason, just about 3 hours time, 3 hours and 12 minutes. They're going to be back on the racetrack for our final Pono Superbike race here in New Jersey. But your new champ is Jake Gagne. We have more coming at you from NJMP in a moment.